All right, Jordan. Spring practice is in full swing, and as we all know, every single spring that does not come without that pesky old injury bug that always creeps up every single spring and just nicks a player here and nicks a player there, and so on and so forth. And obviously, that's happened to Clemson yet again this season, like it does every other spring season. But a couple noteworthy newer injuries, I guess we could point out. Tristan Lee, excuse me, was seen, scooting around the sidelines on a scooter. Dabo was asked about it in his post scrimmage press conference today. Said he had a procedure done. I'm assuming that's a new procedure. I know he had a procedure earlier on. I don't know if they had to go in there and clean something up or he re-aggravated something. Not really sure. He was participating in most things, just not live drills earlier in spring practice, but obviously had to have some other procedure done. He didn't really specify what that procedure was, but he's rolling around on the good old scooter. So not really worried about that too terribly much. We know what he could do on the field. The reps that he's missing next spring, I don't think are going to be a detriment to him at all. We just need him to be healthy come fall camp and the regular season. So, but Jarvis Green, running back room, we talked about how running back room is such a question mark for this Clemson Tiger team, and this pecking order is really going to get worked out in spring and then again in fall camp. And unfortunately for Jarvis Green, he was seen in a boot on the sideline this week, and not doing any football stuff now. So that really kind of hampers his ability to show what he can do and kind of solidify himself in that pecking order, that depth chart that will be that running back room come fall camp. So those are two kind of the newer injuries. Anything else you're hearing on the injury front or any impacts that you think will happen because of the injuries I just mentioned?
Yeah, you talk about Tristan Lay. I think, he's going to be fine. Definitely probably going to keep him out for the remainder of spring.
Yeah, he's not going to
Both
play
of
in
these
spring
injuries.
again.
Yeah,
No way.
yeah. But I think that it does present a good opportunity. I mean, we've talked about this. We've talked about this opportunity for the young guys and the depth on this offensive line. You mentioned the guys like Elijah Thurman who came in and played left tackle for you. Who's obviously recovering from his injury during the year. But Braden Jacobs coming in as a true freshman and stepping in and playing a really significant role potentially. You're going to have guys that are going to get banged up throughout the year. I mean, so this is an opportunity for the guys we don't talk about enough, a bunch, and the guys the newcomers. I already mentioned Braden Jacobs, but even the guys that have been in the program that have not taken that starting role yet, like a Colin
Right.
Sadler.
Yep.
You're going to see those guys start to get into the mix a lot more. And it really is all about building depth. This is the best shape I think the Clemson offensive line has been in a long time.
Yeah.
I think they feel really good. I think they feel like they could start 8 or 9 of these guys and be okay. It's much better than it was in previous years.
Absolutely.
And even more guys that I think as the spring goes along and as we get into fall, they'll start to come into their own as well. But yeah, if there's one thing I'm not necessarily worried about is tackle, just because you were in such a good spot there.
Yeah.
You have a lot of guys that can play, and you'll be fine there. Continuing to see how the interior offensive line battle kind of shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously replacing Marcus Tate, but it's kind of gotten to the point. I think I don't know if it was Isaac or David. I saw them mention it in the comments, but Matt Luke has coached up this line so well that I don't even really think about them.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have.
That's a very good problem. That's a very good problem. And when you hear about an injury like Tristan Lay, and you're like, well, yeah, let's get some young guys in there and get some development done. That's when you've recruited well, and you have a really good coach there that's putting these guys in the best position to win ball games. So it's a good thing to have. But in my opinion, we got the best offensive line coach in the country. So I believe he'll have, 10, 11 of those guys ready to play if they absolutely need to come fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I hate it for Jarvis Green because he's a guy that just hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities since he's been at Clemson. He's kind of been an underdog in that room because he wasn't the highly recruited. I mean, he was really productive in high school at Dutch Fork. One of the put up crazy numbers, but was kind of it wasn't highly recruited because some of the athletic limitations. But you saw him get into a playoff game and catch a touchdown pass, and you're like, okay, you might have something there.
Right.
But now he's done for the spring. That sucks because you're already working without Jay Haynes.
Yeah.
So your running back the running back picture is getting really tight. You're looking at Adam Randall and Gideon Davidson. Obviously, seem to be the front runners. You still have Keith Adams Jr. in the mix, but you don't really have. And of course, David Azumame is continuing to kind of work his way up and try to break into that rotation as well. So I think you're starting to see a pecking order start to show itself, but not necessarily in the way that you wanted because of injuries.
Right.
So that's the one thing I'm hoping is no more injuries in that group because we need these guys to be getting reps because you can't have a situation like you had last year. You just where you're running film off into the ground, and he's becoming less and less effective.
I mean, you have a problem. You have a problem with running back depth when it's very clear that Phil Maffa is probably 30% of the back that he is normally, and he's still your best option to run out there.
Yeah.
That's when you're in a bad way as far as your depth. And those guys really have to, take a huge step. And it sounds like, there's a couple guys that are stepping up a little bit. Obviously, Adam Randall, he's probably going to be that guy that runs out there first. I mean, you hear the media members talk about him, and he just looks like so big out there at the running back position. Like he's just towering over all the other running backs. But it sounds like he's picking it up really well, and it sounds like that he's probably going to be the guy that's first on the depth chart, at least entering the season, I would assume. But who's going to be behind him? And that's the huge question. Is Eazy-E going to step up and take that? Is Gideon Davison gonna step up and take that second running back role? And then how quickly can these guys get back from injury? How quickly can a Jarvis Green get back? How quickly can when are we going to see Jay Haynes? When is he going to be truly ready after that torn ACL? Probably going to be a while. So really need these guys to step up. Definitely can't afford any more injuries in that room because development is key, and they're not going to develop without a lot of reps. And pass pro and blitz pickup and all the other stuff that they have to do that's other than just grabbing the ball and running takes a lot of reps to develop a comfort level that you need to go out there and play with. So definitely a big question mark as we knew coming into spring.
Yep. It's a work in progress. That's for sure. Building that depth. You feel like you have two, real options that are going to be really good when the season rolls around, but behind them, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know.
We do not know.